It's Eldar Day!
Every day is Eldar Day,
Every day's
Quentin.
Eldar Day, I know.
If you think about it.
But you know what today is extra?
Today is the special Death Eldar.
I know, the Death Eldar. We get to write a list for Ynnari, and then we're going to play it on stream.
Yep, that's right. So if you've seen our Build a List series in the past, what we've done is we have built a list live on camera, and then the following week, our YouTube game, we play the list.
I know. So next week will be this Ynnari list that we're about to write into Siegs' Grey Knights, which I'm very excited for.
Yes.
So if you want to see more content like that, you can please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Or if you want to see even more of it, you can go down to the description where there's a link to the warroom.vhx.tv, where you can join the War Room and get all kinds of special stuff. You can join our Discord. You can talk to us in there. If you've seen Fixed My Lists, you can submit lists there. And we have a 3-day free trial.
Never a better time to check it out.
I know. And before we begin, we have a fun fact with Quinton. Today's fun fact is death-themed. One of the oldest skeletons we have, Lucy, I think it's Australopithecus afarensis, is 3.2 million years old.
It's a long time.
I know, yeah.
I wonder if Yvraine can bring D3 of her back.
Probably.
Probably.
Speaking of Yvraine, let's go ahead and add her to the list.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like you kind of gotta, right?
Legally actually have to
Legally
include her.
have to.
Legally have to include her in the Ynnari list. She's 100 points. Cool.
Sweet. Works right like
let's
that.
just go ahead and add the Incarn in here, because we're going to add her.
Yeah, the Incarn is like the payoff for playing Ynnari.
I mean, Ynnari is actually like really quite good now. But the Incarn is 270.
Spelled like that?
Yep.
Sweet.
And then
270? Wow, damn.
yeah, she's pretty cheap.
Pretty cheap.
I know.
Okay, so those two are just friends
So
together.
we have the third member of the Triumph, which is the Vizark.
Yeah.
But he is the worst of all of them.
What does he do, Quentin?
So he's not bad in combat.
Yeah.
And he gives his unit fight first.
Does he give any unit that I would even notice if it hits me?
No.
Fight first?
So you can join Harlequin troops, which is 200 points for like 40 attacks at Lasgun.
Surely the weapons do something.
Strength 3, AP 0, damage 1.
What does the Harlequin's kiss and caress and
Strength
stuff
4,
do?
AP 1, damage 1 with 4 attacks.
Are you kidding me?
That's it. That's all I get.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All right, we found a not great unit in Eldar. It's possible, everyone.
we can join it to Guardians, which have 2 attacks at Elf. And we have Storm Guardians, which are
3 attacks at Elf?
2 attacks at Elf but AP 1. And then 2 guys get not power swords, Elf power blades, which are +1 strength. Yeah.
Okay. So they weren't designed as a melee army. We
So
get
they're
that.
actually, it'd be great if you could join Corsairs, but you cannot include Corsairs in Ynnari, even though both those characters are allowed to join Corsairs.
Wait, what?
Yep.
So if you don't take them in... Okay, never mind.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So all of the, we're playing Ynnari because Yvraine is our warlord, right? So
Right.
that gives us all the cool stuff. But if you have Yvraine as your warlord, you're not allowed to include Anathray units in your army. Even though she can join both of the Anathray units. Okay.
That's
Anyway,
weird, but
that is
okay,
weird.
carry
So
on.
we have our core. I'm just going to go ahead and add a few things in here that I want every Eldar list to have.
Yeah?
Let's just go ahead and add in 2 squads of Warp Spiders.
Okay. 5, I'm assuming?
Yep, just 2 5-man squads. They're 100 point each. And then let's go ahead and add 1 squad of Shadow Specters.
Okay. You're going to
And
have
I'll
to...
explain why I want to do these while you type that in. So I think Eldar are good because they have really awesome mission play. And Warp Spiders are great mission play. They're also good because sometimes they just do like a random amount of mortals. It's kind of swingy, but they do anywhere between like 3 and 5 mortals every time you activate them, which I really like. So a lot of times if there's like a cheeky lone op in the back, they can go and do that.
You can go kill them.
They also move 24 every turn, which means you can just move them 24, then fire and fade them, and they go pretty far.
How expensive are Shadow Spectres?
80 for the 5.
That's real
So Shadow
cheap.
Spectres I like because their gun is pretty good. And they also can fire and fade after they arrive from Deep Strike. So basically you have a pseudo 3-inch Deep Strike in terms of where you can be for objective play. Because you Deep Strike 9 away, then you shoot, then you move 6 inches. So they're really good for taking stuff.
Yeah.
If you also want to be dumb, you can move them 18 after they arrive. Because you drop them down, move them 6, then move them 12.
Yes, because you fire and fade even...
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So we have our 2 characters that we have to have. Those are just there because we're playing Ynnari. And then we have our little trash units. We're playing Ynnari, so we get access to the best of the many cheap elf with bright lances. let's go ahead.
It sounds like Dark Lances, actually. Yeah,
Let's just go ahead and add 3 Ravagers.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So here's a funny story.
95, right?
95 for
incredible. It's like Dark Eldar got a really underpointed vehicle, and Eldar are like, that's mine now, thank you.
So here's the fun thing. I have no idea if this is intentional, but rules is written, it probably totally works, is that the hit and wound reroll and all of the stratagems key off the Eldari keyword, and all the Drukhari stuff has the Eldari keyword.
Yep, so if you include it in Ynnari, you get the hit and wound reroll,
Yep.
which is gross on a triple Dark Lance Ravager.
Yeah, so of the many cheap elf vehicle with Bright Lances, which is the Warwalker, the Viper, the Void Weaver, the Hornet, and the Ravager is the best one.
Yeah.
The problem is you just have to take Yvrane. But we're doing that running Ynnari, so cool. We have
We're already done with that. Okay, what do we got next?
So
are we taking more Bright/Dark Lances?
We can. Basically, we have a couple of ways to fill this list out. The first is that we can just go whole hog Dark Lance spam.
Right.
And we just add, everything. Yes, chat, you can use any stratagems that you want on from the Eldari Codex on your Ynnari Drukhari things, but you cannot use Strands of Fate because they do not have that ability.
And you get, 1,000 points of...
You get 1,000 points, yeah.
Of Dark Eldar in your Ynnari list, so you can take as many Dark Lances as you want.
Yeah, this is probably a better version of the Drukhari Dark Lance spam.
Yeah, because it's Eldar.
Yeah, it's Eldar.
Eldar just takes their best units, gives them a hit and a wound reroll, and says, "Shh, you're mine now."
So there's a very real question here, and it's: are we going to pay points for a Farseer?
Farseer gives you what?
So Farseer gives you either reroll all hits, or -1 to wound. Both those can go on your Drukhari units.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also gives you flip dice to 6. So I think I probably want a Farseer.
You probably do. The question is, what are they going to be? Well, I was going to say, what are their buffs going to go on?
That was the question that I want a Farseer. Let's just go ahead and add a walking Farseer because it's the cheapest one.
Which one? That gives
-1 to wound.
Fortune. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Farseer, and how many points is this?
65 for the Farseer.
What?
Yeah.
All right. You can tell I haven't actually worked on any Eldar lists because I'm like, are you kidding me? It's 65. Anyway, carry on.
Okay. Another question we have to ask ourselves before we divide points by Bright Lances, because I feel like that's going to happen at the end, is we're going to go decreasingly efficient on our Lance platforms, is do we want either of these characters to be in a unit?
I don't know. So the Farseer, chat pointed out, Fortune is very nice on the Incarn, which is great. So
I
that's
like the Incarn to be Fortune because then it lives on your opponent's backfields for forever.
What can a Footseer reasonably join?
Guardians, and that's it.
Guardians are terrible.
They're not great.
So I don't love that. I mean, what you could do is just join him to the Phoenix Gem.
I think that's probably our plan. So let's just go. The Phoenix Gem is 25 points.
Whee. Phoenix Gem. I've never been so self-conscious about my typing in my life.
I know, right? And then we have Yvrane.
So this at least means indirect doesn't kill a Farseer
in one turn. Takes 2 turns.
2 turns. Hopefully you can give them bigger problems by that point if they take 2 turns to kill a Farseer that also has access to Fate dice. So you have to actually commit to kill her. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably fine if the Farseer's by themselves.
Okay. And then I think our plan is we're going to put Yvrane in reserves because I don't like any of the units that she joins.
What units can she join?
Cabalites, which is both kinds of Corsairs, troops, and both kinds of Guardians.
But you can't take Corsairs.
No, we can't take Corsairs.
She can join Corsairs, but she can't be seen with them.
That's correct.
Solid.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you could just pay 100-point tax in order to get Ravagers and Scourges and whatnot in the list.
That's basically what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Honestly, that's fine. If we get through all the units we want and we want to include some nonsense for your brain, we always can.
Do we want to add Scourges to this?
Scourges are pretty good. What are the Eldar versions of Scourges that we want?
Basically, Scourges are 120. They give you 4 lances that hit on 4s on a very squishy platform that fire and fades.
Okay, so average of 2.5 hits.
Yep.
Which is fine. It's not that much higher than something like
a Hornet?
A Hornet.
Or a Warwalker.
Yeah, a Hornet. Warwalkers are misery to try to kill.
So Scourges actually benefit a ton from the full rerolls to hit because they have a low ballistic skill and a lot of shots.
Yes.
I actually like them less in Ynnari than I do in Eldari.
I like having that single hit reroll on a ballistic skill 3 platform.
Agreed.
That being said, I also like fire and fading, and I like being just completely cancerous with the you got shot with a million guns, you can't shoot back. Because that is what Eldar is all about, baby. Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to add...
So what do you want right now? Like Warwalkers, Hornets?
Why don't we just go ahead and add 2 Hornets and 2 Warwalkers, and we might cut those. We'll see where the points take us.
Yeah. They're just incredible.
We could also add Fire Prisms.
Hornets are somehow 80?
Yes.
Okay.
But I feel like we're going here. Let's just go ahead and lean really hard into the I have a trillion lances.
Warwalker. How much are Warwalkers? 95?
95.
And you added a second one of those?
Yeah, we're adding 2 Warwalkers and 2 Hornets.
Okay. So let's leave these. We're going to end up having quite a few units, so let's let these get all broken up so they're easier to visualize. Slick.
Cool.
Okay, so all of these, have bright lances, dark lances. I can add all that in while you...
So this is 1375 right here for all of this.
That's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
I feel like we're just gonna let's just try this right now. Let's just have 3 Warwalkers and 3 Hornets.
This is going to take up a lot of space if I clarify that all of them
they all have lances.
They all have the good guns.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to add a 3rd Warwalker. Mm-hmm. So this is basically the concept of the list is I have cheap hulls, I'm going to spam them.
Yeah, so the goal here is that none of these hulls are individually worth focusing because they're all relatively durable, and by that I mean they're toughness 7 with at least 8 wounds. Some of them have invulns. They probably have cover. None of these units are worth shooting at, and they're all pretty cheap.
Okay, so that leaves us at how much?
We have 450 points left.
Okay, I don't think we need more firepower.
I don't think we do. What if we added some sticky objectives?
How do you get access to that?
We're gonna add some Cabalite Warriors.
All right, Cabalite Warriors are something your brain can go in.
Yep. So that was kind of my thought was we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So we have 2 squads of Cabalite Warriors, and then why don't we go ahead and add a Raider?
2 squads of 10?
One squad of 10. I was thinking we could add a Venom and split it, but I think it's better to have the Raider. So the Cabalites are 120.
Finally an appropriate costed unit.
Yeah, because it's Drukhari.
That's all right. Silly me.
And then the Raider is going to be 90 points for the Raider.
I'll be honest, do we want this?
No.
Look at all the things that surround this unit.
That's fair. It's so much worse.
One of these things is... This is the most expensive non-incarn unit, and it is also the worst.
That's so true. That package is a lot of... I just wanted points. Okay. So what do we add for this last 500 points? We could go even harder, but I feel like we don't need more shooting.
I don't think we need more shooting. I think any problem you can solve with guns is a problem that you've already solved. So we can there's a suggestion of a Death Jester with Messenger in the chat.
Let's add that. I want to loan up. I like that plan.
Yeah, I also think that that is just a good unit.
So with Fate's Messenger, he is 85 points.
85. Man, I have a Harlequin's army. I don't have any Eldar Mauls except for the avatar they painted up. Mm-hmm. I have a Harlequin's army. I just want to play it, but unfortunately it's just funnily themed Aspect Warriors now.
Yeah, it really is.
It's very sad, actually. Yeah. One hopes I get a detachment in the future.
Okay, so we have
so I can use my models.
365 left.
Okay.
We could add more cheap trash.
We could.
So we could go up to 3 squads of Warp Spiders.
I really like Warp Spiders. They're also quite good in the GSC matchup, which
yes, they are. Where this list might struggle.
Where this list might struggle because you have a lot of lances.
And How many Shadow Spectres do we literally own?
I do not know.
Okay, well, we can figure it out.
We have not. We own some. We have not used them in like
Forever?
years.
That's the question. I have to go find them. What if we had a second unit of Shadow Spectres? So at this point, the plan is we have all the guns we need because we have 1 billion lances.
We're still adding guns in, but these are guns that are less like.
Oh, Illic and Rangers. I like that plan.
Yeah.
Let's add that.
Do we have those points left after the triple Warp Spider, double Shadow Spectre? I
We
feel like
might.
we're going to, which is the saddest thing.
We will.
Or happiest thing if you're a Ynnari. I will say, if you run Ynnari, you are definitely the hipster Eldar, and I can appreciate that. So 10 Rangers.
10 Rangers and Illic. The Rangers are 110.
Okay. And then Illic Night Spear, who's finally good.
65.
Very happy. He's 65?
He is.
Oh my god. Illic Night Spear. I'm just so jealous. 65. 654. That's what you deserve.
Like, this list is 1990.
So this just fits.
This just fits.
This just fits.
I like this list a lot.
That list has an insane amount of stuff. Let's get rid of this nonsense down here.
So you have 2 really good lone operative units. You have the Yinkarn and Yvrain who show up and do random stuff. You have 3x5 Warp Spiders, 2x5 Shadow Spectres, 10 Rangers, which are actually like super annoying.
Yes.
And then 9 plus each of those packages are 6 lances, so 12. 21 Dark Lances with basically full rerolls to hit and wound.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. So there's a couple things. One, the Farseer has the Incarn to Fortune, and then it's just handing out flat 8 damage to the lances.
Basically, what the goal of the Farseer is, the first 1 lance that goes through every turn is flat 8 damage. Also, like, the ability to just be like, hey, you shot my Fire Prism. No, you didn't.
There's no Fire Prisms.
Or, sorry, you shot me a Warwalker. No, you didn't.
Yeah. The Ravagers, can the Ravagers benefit from...
No, they can't. They do get the hit and wound drill, but they don't have the Strands of Fate.
Okay. So this is only on the Warwalkers, the Hornets. The Warp Spiders and Shadow Spectres don't really use it.
Yep.
So flipping the dice to a 6...
I actually did on the Warp Spiders occasionally, because sometimes you just really need to kick the last wound off something, and Warp Spiders are, like, mortal.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't use it often, but I do it sometimes.
Then you have the Death Jester, who can also use it to make sure that he gets a redonkulous amount of hits, I believe is the...
Yeah, he can...
Because you can flip a die to a 6, sub in a 6.
So he gets minimum 9 hits.
Gross.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, that feels like enough reasons to include a 90-point Farseer. Honestly, fortuning the Incarn and handing out 6s to people is strong.
And
it also really helps against things like Lancers.
Yes.
Lancers hand you 2 saves. You fail one, you take a bit of damage, you pass the other one automatically. Or you pass one on a Warwalker because they have a 4-pin bone for no reason. And then you just auto-pass the last one. Or they only hand you 1 save, which happens a decent amount of the time.
The odds of 2 Lancers not killing a Warwalker are embarrassingly high.
Yeah, it's with Fate Dice, it's got to be over 80%.
Of 2 Lancers.
Of 2 Lancers?
Yeah.
That's probably 50-50 if I had to guess. Especially since you can CP reroll. They're only going to hand you 4 saves. One of them is auto-passed.
They might not hand you 4 saves.
They only can hand you 4 saves.
Right, yeah.
It is very likely they hand you 2 or 3. One of those is auto-passed and you have a 4 pinfall.
Yeah.
And how many wounds does the thing have?
6.
Okay, so if you fail to save with a rerollable 3
dead.
up, you're probably dead. But also, that's a failure point right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Two Lancers could definitely not kill a Warwalker. In fact, I do think it's probably like 65% chance that they don't.
Yeah, it's like hilarious.
If you put investment into keeping it alive.
Embarrassingly high.
Wild. Why?
So, is there anything else? Like, I want to add more like Drukhari or Harlequin stuff to make this like a Ynnari list, but unfortunately, that stuff's bad compared to like this.
Well, I mean, we could consider like Voidweavers. I don't know what...
Voidweavers are not bad.
Voidweavers are not bad.
They're 100 points, and you get 2 Shuriken Cannons, and then 2 Prismatic Cannons, which are like 12, 3, 4, or 3 Haywire Shots, which are like 3, 3, 3, anti-vehicle 4+ death wounds.
So, if this list is at 1990, right? Mm-hmm. You can just take a Warwalker and make it a Voidweaver, which is fine. Or you could melt down some of your units and turn it into a bunch of Voidweavers if you wanted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I personally don't see
think
what
we have
else
enough
Harlequin
shooting.
adds.
No, I would like a solitaire, but we can't.
Yeah, you're not allowed to, right?
No.
Yeah.
Jakari Banks wouldn't be here. It's not a bad idea, chat. But I think I like Shadow Spectres better, unfortunately.
Shadow Spectres.
Because the Shadow Spectres also pretend to shoot. Like, 2 squads of Shadow Spectres might just pick up a full squad of GSE Neos.
Yeah, and then there's something also to be said for something that shoots while never getting shot back, because they fire and fade. Which is the reason why we considered Scourges, even though they hit on 4s.
Yes. I also like the Shadow Spectres because you get to come down then move them. There's also a play where we do 3x5 Shadow Spectres and 3x5 Scourges.
Yeah. The fact that there's only one unit in this army that is over 100 points. Sorry, 2. The Rangers are 10 points over, is astounding to me.
Yeah, I feel like every one of these units should go up like 20%.
Probably. So Ivrain doesn't have anyone to go in, which I think is totally fine.
Yeah.
The Farseer also is joined to a Phoenix Gem, so if they want to indirect... They have plenty of stuff to indirect in this list.
Yes, that's the thing. My plan is that, like, if you indirect the Farseer, you're not indirecting warp spiders or anything. There's this really sad phenomenon I've been noticing is that all of the Eldar foot characters are outstandingly amazing, and all of the stuff they can join is terrible garbage.
Yeah, it's like the only bad units in the Codex, somehow.
All of the Eldar infantry is bad.
Yeah, I just think you have them by themselves.
Yeah.
So the Farseer takes 2 turns to put away, and that's time that could have been spent working on Warp Spiders or Shadow Spectres or something.
You also could, like, just totally not, right? Like, I find a lot of times he just hides literally in your back corner.
Yeah, and then you're fine. Especially since he's a 4-up invul and he can just scam people on saves. Like, oh, I handed you 8 saves and you passed 5 of them and then auto-passed another one and didn't die. Like, oh. That just happens.
Yep.
And then it's a full another turn to kill them because they die, then they come back, and then they die again. And at that point, it's way too much work to put into killing a Farseer.
Yeah, and then you just shoot something else instead, and then the Farseer just gets to survive.
If they spend all their indirect shooting the Farseer, it's basically like he fortuned your entire army.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a way to think about it.
What a stupid list. I love it.
Yeah. So this is playing into Grey Knights?
Grey Knights. Siegs won't see it coming.
Well, Siegs hopefully will not let you shoot anything and just teleport around and be obnoxious. We'll see. We'll see. That's what GK love to do. So, we've got Yvrain, we got the Incarn, we got Farseer with Phoenix Gem, Death Jester with Fate's Messenger, and Illic Night Spear. 3 units of 5 Warp Spiders, 2 units of 5 Shadow Spectres, 10 Rangers for Illic. We've got 3 Ravagers with Dark Lances, 3 Warwalkers with Twin Bright Lance, and 3 Hornets with Twin Bright Lance. We have 10 points left over. Is there anything you want to upgrade?
Anything I want to upgrade? Not really. I would say upgrade a Hornet to a Warwalker or something, but you already have 3.
And that's also 15 points.
We could make one of those Warwalkers a Void Weaver, but I don't know if I like that. Just because the Bright Lances are much better.
Warwalkers are also miserable to try to deal with in quantity.
They have +1 toughness and -1 to wound over the Void Weavers.
Yeah. I could see a Ravager changing, but honestly, Ravagers are pretty nuts. So.
3 lances on the single platform is just better efficiency than everything else you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is much easier to kill, and it is very hard to hide.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that.
Yeah, they're not...
Yeah, I don't really see anything that would want to be changed. Shadow Spectres are great. I don't see a 90-point option that I want here. No. Warp Spiders could become like 10 more Rangers, but why?
Can we take Mandrakes?
Great question. Can you take Blades for Hire? I don't even know if that's a keyword anymore.
Sorry, there's like a... They didn't say you can only take these things. They just literally made a list of things you can't take, and I forgot if Mandrakes are on that list.
Yeah.
You can take Mandrakes. I actually don't hate 3x5 Mandrakes.
I mean, that's a fair few points. How many points are they?
So 70 points each.
70. So...
But they're just so good. So if we cut... We'd have to cut 200 points.
To fit 3 units of Mandrakes?
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. We can cut and get 2 units, very likely.
Okay, why don't we try that? Because I like the Mandrakes just because they go back up into reserves every turn, and they can come back and just be really annoying.
Yes. So, what do you want to cut? It seems like it's going to come from this sort of column.
So what if we made the Rangers a 5-man?
Okay.
Because they do less damage, but they still kind of do the same thing. And then we cut 1 unit of Shadow Spectres.
What's the thing they're doing?
They're being lone operatives.
Yep,
and shooting characters.
Just being lone ops, being annoying, just chilling in the center of the board, running away if you come up to them.
Yep.
That's valuable in and of itself. So how many points do we have left at that point?
We have 75 over if we take 2 units of mandrakes, which is one squad of Shadow Specters.
Okay, so this list is currently illegal, which is not great. So let's figure out how we cut that. I mean, it could be 1 Hornet. It could be 1 squad. It's probably 1 squad of Shadow Specters, honestly. Yeah. Is a squad of Shadow Specters better than a squad of Mandrakes?
So the Mandrakes are better long term.
They teleport around.
They teleport every turn. Because you just pull them up, then if you don't want them, they just put them down. They could deep strike every turn.
We can make this very simple. Do we have 3 Hornets?
Yeah, I have 3.
Okay, sweet.
We have 6 Hornets.
Then never mind. That's staying intact.
Yeah.
6 Hornets? Ugh. All right, so we could cut a squad of Warp Spiders. We could cut a Shadow Spectre squad. World's our oyster.
We could also just cut 1 squad of Mandrakes.
Well, that leaves us 5 over.
It does
And
leave
in
us
the land of in the land of 10th edition, there is not like anything to be done about that.
That is really annoying.
I think it's got to be the Shadow Spectres.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd rather have the Mandrakes than the Shadow Spectres.
Well, especially because you get 2 units. Cutting the Shadow Spectres makes 2 units of Mandrakes fit.
Yes.
Whereas it just wouldn't otherwise. I will say I want 2 units of Warp Spiders, 2 units of Shadow Spectres. Which can happen.
We can. That would give us 25 points left.
Warp Spiders are just
better than
Shadow Spectres. We're at 1995 with this?
With this.
I mean, this plays mission a lot better.
So well. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cheap mission units.
What did we cut? We cut 1 squad of Shadow Spectres and 5 Rangers to get 2 units of Mandrakes to do stuff?
Yeah.
Probably is, yeah. Yeah. Shadow Spectres are quite good. I mean, honestly, if we could, I would just gone 5 Mandrakes and then 2 units of Shadow Spectres, but that doesn't fit. That would be 5 points over. And 5 points over is just not gonna work. And also, now we bring it to the point where no unit except the Incarn is over 100 points, and I die on the inside.
Chat, who are the Farseer and Yvrain joining? Nobody. They're walking by themselves.
Yeah, Yvrain is by herself, and the Farseer is attached to a Phoenix Gem. God bless. Basically, the idea is if they spend their turns indirecting out your characters, Yvrain, who literally does not matter, and probably starts in reserves and just becomes a gun.
Yeah.
And the Farseer, whose buffs are durability based, largely, and has a Phoenix Gem, so it'll take 2 turns. Then what that means is, if they're focusing on that, they're spending a bunch of resources shooting at you with indirect, because they have a 4-up invul and they have a bunch of wounds, which means that you can just whiff on them if you don't commit hard enough. Especially like Whirlwinds hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s, giving you a 4-up, like D6 plus 3 shots, you can just totally whiff on them. Yeah. At that point, you're not shooting vulnerable units, and that's actually totally fine for the Eldar player.
This list plays fixed stupidly well.
What fixed are you thinking of?
You could do engage or behind.
Yeah.
And then you just because the Incarn can go to a corner and just live on someone's backfield.
It just vibe with -1 damage. I will tell you, Grey Knights physically cannot stop that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how many librarians he's running, to be honest with you.
Fair.
I don't know how he comes down on the Great Librarian debate.
We'll just kill them all.
Dude, I've seen his librarian do, what was it, like, it was an insane amount of mortal wounds to me. He did 14 mortal wounds on 2 spells into Bellicor in 9th edition against me, and I was like, where can I learn this power? And if you're doing the math, that means he rolled an 11 and got on Purifying Flame, and then got max damage on it because it goes to D3 plus 3. So he rolled an 11 on it, hit the maximum amount, got the +1, did 7, then rolled a natty Vortex of Doom, and goes double 3 on 2d3, 7. I'm like, oh, my Bellicor was at full, and now he is at 6 or something.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is you're going to rock up and he's going to go, I have 3 Libbies, 6, 6, 6, and the Incarn is going to poof into a fine mist. It's 2d6 mortals, by the way, each time.
Sad.
Yep. Sad. But passport required in the chat saying Quinton should play this on stream today.
Soon.
He will not. He will play it on stream
Wednesday.
next Wednesday.
Yep.
So if you want to see how that is, how that game goes, he'll play it into Richard's Grey Knights. It was a question: how does this list win the GSC matchup?
So you have a couple options. I think basically is that the GSC are pretty good at killing one thing, but they're actually kind of super awkward at killing lots of things, right? Like lots of they don't want to be having to shoot Warwalkers and Hornets and Ravagers. They'll kill like 4 of them, but not all of them. And then you just tag them all. Yeah,
the Hornets are less about shooting them and more about just physically driving into them.
Yep. So you put your Warp Spiders, Shadow Specters, and Mandrakes in reserves. Then they come down, and 3x5 Spiders and a unit of Shadow Specters actually do damage. And the Mandrakes also do damage to GSC. They quite respectably.
Yeah.
So basically what you would do is you'd screen with your vehicles. They'll drop down. They'll kill like half to 2/3 of them. And then whatever's left just like literally runs into them.
Because they don't fall back and
do anything.
Yeah.
And then you just like kill you focus fire a couple of units with your Spiders and Specters, keeping them alive. Then tag everything else with your boats. And then the Incarn just runs around scooping heads off.
Yeah, so the Incarn you shoot a hole, you shoot something to death, the Incarn pops over, the Incarn charges into a unit, 1 CP, that character is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And or they can splash mortals like with perfect efficacy through the unit, which will likely rip the unit apart. So they 1 CP, they make every wound their character takes, do a mortal to the unit.
Mm-hmm.
But if that happens, what's the damage on the Incarn?
D6 + 1.
Yeah, if they do that, you're just killing D6 + 1 at a swing.
I played GSC last night, and I got a 24 on secondaries turn 1.
You just kill a bunch of characters?
Killed like 7 characters.
Yeah.
Because he had a bunch of the Ridge Runners there, and then a Clam of Us, and I shot the Clam of Us dead with a Night Spinner turn 1. Ported the Yinkarn into the spot in the center of his army, shot Reductist, charged a squad, precisioned out something else, and then had 2 other characters die. So that was top 1, and then tagged all 3 of his Ridge Runners.
Yeah, so so you can do things.
Yes.
Even though you have a lot of your damage tied up in lances, you basically just they're not that expensive, right? That's like less than 900 points your army. That's like
the lances are also good into like aberrants, because each lance should probably kill an aberrant.
Close.
It's close, right?
It can swing down depending on how much damage you roll. But yeah, they do cut that squad up, which is good because you don't have that many options. It's also good to have DJ Sniper, right? Here's precision.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really good to just be like, character, gone.
Character,
character,
also not bad.
Gone.
He's like strength 6 AP 1, so he just shreds like the squads by himself.
Especially if you flip a die to a 6, maybe roll a natural 6, sub in a 6, and you just get min 9 shots, and you just character.
It's not sus 2, it's sus 3. So you get 4 hits with the 6.
Yeah, so it's minimum 9.
Oh yeah.
I just used your math from earlier.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you just go precision and you go character, gone. Or every failed save is going to be 2 dead guys. And so you point at a unit. If they decide they don't want you to shoot them, you go, you now.
Yeah.
Boy. Bah!
So also in the GC matchup, always make sure you shoot the Nexus unit first, because then they have to burn it, and then you're like, cool, I get to shoot whatever I want.
Yeah. It's not an easy matchup for sure.
No.
They get their units back. They're very good at scoring. You're not amazing at screening, so you have to be very precise on who's in reserves at what time. If your army is on the board and then before they show up, you are in trouble. Because then they just come down and they shoot the heck out of you.
Yes.
And they kill all. They know they need to go after your Warp Spiders. They know they need to go after your Rangers and Shadow Specters and Mandrakes and characters, not your Ravagers, Warwalkers, and Hornets. So if you let them hit those units, then you're in some trouble.
Yeah, the Hornets, Warwalkers, and Ravagers in that matchup are literally just bumper cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, what you need to do is, if you are going first, you need to get fairly aggressive.
Aggressive board presence. Because GSC can't do anything turn 1.
Yep. And if you're going first, you get aggressive board presence. But not least because if you are going first, that means they're going second. And if they're going second, that means they have the drop on bottom of 3.
Yes.
So you need to make those first 2 turns count. So Ravagers, Warwalkers, Hornets push up, start tagging things in their backfield, start shooting Ridge Runners to death.
So if you can kill all the Ridge Runners, if you can basically table their deployed elements, and they're only hitting you with the drop turn elements, it's actually very survivable.
Yeah, because what they want to do is if you leave all of your stuff that they want to hit in reserves, they'll leave all of their stuff in reserves. And you just play a waiting game until turn 3 where they come down and kill it all. Because you have to drop it first. I mean, 1 unit can be left in reserves, and then you can rapid ingress them on bottom of 3. But you can't really do that with your whole army. So what that means is you're going first. They're going to get to kill a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So you have to get very aggro with the Raptors, the Warwalkers, and the Hornets, and force them to come in, on 2 with at least a sizable amount of stuff that you can then counterpunch.
Warwalkers also give GSC fits because even Demo's wounded on 4s.
Warwalkers give everyone fits, man. I don't really know what the plan is here.
All right, well, that seems to be our Ynnari list. I'm running into Mr. Siegs. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you around.
Okay, let's find the end screen button, and bye-bye.